Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Pedalshift. On this edition, we are kicking off a three-parter. We just got done saying goodbye to the C&O, so we're going to do 3 consecutive months of best ofs with the return to the C&O, just to throw a curveball at you. As always, the C&O loves you, and sometimes it hates you. Hope you enjoy. We're kicking off the spring 2023 ride with day 1. We have a stellar set of conditions for riding, but the Paw Paw tunnel is closed and the trail poses a hefty challenge for someone with a fully loaded bike like I had to push. But the park service says there's a shuttle, right? Right? Good morning from a now vacant Evans Creek campsite. The crew that was staying here tonight just rolled off. They are a mix of new tours and us. I think there's some experience in there. So that was interesting to observe that. Some nice gear, and then one guy who was wrapping stuff up in garbage bags. My guy. That's how you got to get started, man. Use the gear you've got and go for it. There's going to be a pretty big storm on Saturday, and that's what their big concern was. So they're going to try to bang out tons of miles today. So I don't blame them, considering I'm going to be starting off with a roof over my head tomorrow morning. It does look like that the rain's going to hold off tomorrow, which of course will be next week for you all, until maybe later in the late morning. I'm really hoping that's the case, because it'd be great to be at the cabin tonight, make sure everything's fully dry. My tent's got a little damp in spots. I just don't feel like waiting on it. It's a nice sunny day. Of course, as you all know, it's going to be nice and warm today. Nice and warm. But it's not so bad that it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to be able to fully dry things out when I get to the cabin tonight. I've got windows to be able to be picked up, but I'm not going to stress too much on it just because I'm going to ride how fast I ride. The big impediment today, of course, is the Paw Paw Tunnel Trail. For those of you who've been with the show, we did an entire episode or a couple of episodes. I can't even remember. We're going up and over. It's not that big of a deal. There are apparently shuttles now. I'm skeptical about that. We'll see if it's there, and if they're willing to take me, I'll take the fast forward because it'll save me some time and might allow me to get to the cabin earlier tonight. But in any event, everything seems to be going fine. By the way, big fan of these rock straps. I talked about them in the context of the ride. Let's see, which ride was with a Brompton, and I had one set of them. Now I've got a set for both the front and the back rack on this bike, on the Safari, and holy smokes, they are so nice and easy. No fiddling, no, which one goes where? And of course, if you know me, I just never use the same combination twice, ever. I think in the history of bike touring, personally. So yeah, they're permanently, I'll put in quotes, tied to the rack. They loop on there. And so then they just sit there, and then you clip them together, and then you pull on the cinch strap. And there's still bungee material. There's a cinch with the buckling, but there's also a bungee element. And boy, they are just easy to use. I am a big fan. This is really changing things for me. They're not cheap, that's for sure. But unlike bungees where you lose one and you're like, whatever, because they're all over the place, they're just on your bike. You never end up losing them because they're always there. So it's handy. The only thing that I'm a little less wowed about is the length of the cinch strap. It's a little longer than I need. I bought the short ones, the small ones, because that's all you need for bike touring. They're built also for motorcycles and for other uses as well, where maybe you would need to tie down a fatter load and you do need more strap length. Here, I'm thinking I might cut the length a little bit, just a little bit, because they do flop around a bunch, and it's, as with anything, you got to tie it down, wrap it up, whatever, but it's all good. All right, morning is just glorious. It is, let's do a little temperature check here. It is 62 degrees. I am currently wearing my merino wool long sleeve over a short sleeve. I'm wearing my very light, flowy long pants. I decided to go long pants today. I do have shorts, but I just think that the humidity's nice and low, and I'd rather have the sun coverage with a pair of pants rather than rock the shorts. I can pull them out if I need to, but I may regret that on if I'm huffing up the Paw Tunnel Trail at noon and it's 85 degrees, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll get a ride. I'm skeptical. Our baby geese goslings, I believe that's the correct term. I just took a picture of two very protective Canadian geese. They hiss at you when you go by with their brand new babies, and what a delight that was. I got a bunch of pictures. I hope some of them come out. They're beautiful and yellow and furry, and man, that's a solid wildlife get real early in the trail today. This is going to be an A+ turtle day, I think, with the sun out and the heat. They're just going to be out sunning themselves, so hopefully I'll get some of that. Forgot to mention I saw fox last night. But yeah, we've had some good wildlife so far. Redbuds are out. That's the official state tree of West Virginia, if memory serves. Lots of good stuff going on today. Beautiful weather so far. It'll get a little too warm for me at some point, but for now, I'll take it. We're in the section where I'll get hit with some direct sun, so I'm wearing my hat and sun sleeves. And as I mentioned before, rocking the long pants just to keep the sun off for a while. And we'll go from there. All right, that was a delight. I'm glad I was able to share that with you, and hopefully that picture will come out. Probably should take more video. You know how it goes. From a very beautiful mile marker 170, beautiful fields, the birds are chirping. I did see my first turtles within minutes of the last segment, so I have gotten the turtle sighting already. Nice and quiet. I have to say, I enjoy the Florida trip. I really enjoyed the California trip, but there is something about being out in nature all by yourself that is just fantastic, and it's really an energizing thing for me. I've described this before. I think it's worth saying again. I'm not a good meditator. I would wish I were. I think I just need to practice more. They call it a practice for a reason. But the closest I get to it is when I am riding on a bicycle in a place like this, which is why I've always been such a proponent of this trail for literally a decade. It's just so fun, and I'm glad to be on it again. Temperatures are climbing. I am putting on a decent sweat, but it's evaporating. I'm actually being cooled by said sweat as I mop it off my face here. So that says something about the humidity, which is mercifully low. I think this is a sweet spot in the spring to hit this trail. Late April, getting into early May, the temperatures will sometimes climb into the 90s like it will be today, or at least the very upper 80s, but the humidity still stays low, and that makes all the difference in the world. Later on in the summer, I'm sure I will be on this trail again, as many people are, maybe many of you, and it will be oppressive heat and humidity, and you just deal with it then. One of the tricks that I have is to take my pannier, empty it completely out, and literally pump a half a pannier full of water from the pumps and just take a dunk shower, basically. It is very refreshing to do that. You got to do it in one of the more remote campsites if you're going to strip way down. I usually don't strip all the way down because you just never know what's coming around the corner, and I don't want anybody to have to see that. One thing I should mention, speaking of the pumps, they have been open so far. So it was a few weeks ago, I believe the Redditor mentioned that the pumps were closed. They may be closed further on down the trail, but it is good to know that there is water available for me. I did not bring my pump, mainly because I knew that I had the capacity. I'm carrying up to a gallon of water, and it's just not that bad. I don't think I'll go through a gallon in a day. I could if I wanted to. It wouldn't be a terrible thing, to be perfectly honest, and I'm drinking liberally right now. One of the great things about my trip this time especially is the fact that I'm getting the pickup and I'm staying at the cabin tonight, so it's just like I've got resources galore. Speaking of that, one of the things I think I'm going to grab at the cabin is some additional cold weather layers and maybe see if I've got anything else that can help from a waterproofing standpoint, maybe a tarp or something like that. I am mindful that my final night of camping in Harper's Ferry, hopefully, will potentially be a wet setup. And I have to figure out what, if anything, extra I need. I've got my rain gear, I got my rain pants, I got my new rain jacket. So I'm sure I'll be fine. It's just, do I have something else? Can I make my life a little more comfortable? I have plenty of capacity to carry on this bike. My panniers are 3/4 full, maybe, each. I just stuffed things in. I didn't pack them this morning thinking, oh, I got to maximize space. I just don't. And I've got plenty of room in my rack bag as well. It looks, as I look at the bike, that I'm carrying a lot, and I think I'm carrying less than I normally do, but probably more than many people do, especially in the backpacking or bike packing context. I certainly carry more than that. But that's fine. I'm sure I could do a bike packing setup, and I'm sure I would be perfectly happy with it. But I just like being able to haul everything that I want to haul. A lot of bees are on my bike right now. I don't know why. They're on my saddle in particular. I don't know if there's salt on it or something, perhaps, that they're getting. Oh, no, actually, you know what they are? There's sun that's hitting the spots that they're on, so they're warming themselves on it. That's adorable. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go, though. All right, mile marker 170. We're going to be shooting for mile marker 155, 156 or so. That's where the Paw Paw Tunnel trail begins. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I may or may not eat lunch there. I typically do before I go through the tunnel, or up and over in this case. So we'll just see how it goes. I've got a sandwich. I'm ready to roll. Feeling good. Had a Pop-Tart. 2 Pop-Tarts, actually. 1 package, which is a stupid amount of calories, which is great. And I just dunked down a bunch of Powerade. Is it Powerade that I've got? Yeah, great Powerade, because that one had the full sugar or corn syrup probably in it, and I just wanted to have some additional sugars in me as I ride for performance purposes, and I've been feeling good. The electrolytes will probably serve me well as well. It says 50% more. Sure. Whatever, man. I do water it down 50-50. I think I usually say that every single time I ride and talk about these things. I don't know if I've got my electrolyte pills. That might be another thing that I add in, because I think I've got some at the cabin. But I think today is the last hot day, so may not need them. All right, that was a lot of incoherent rambling. Thank you for sticking along with me. We're about to enter the 160s section here on the trail. And yeah, nice and quiet, except for the train, which you may or may not be able to hear in the background. We're about to deviate away from the trains pretty soon and go into the truly wildernessy parts. A lot of fun. From mile marker 160, we are making good time. Let's take a look here at the watch as let's see. Yeah, 11:18. We're doing great on time. That means I should be in Paw Paw probably within the next half hour or so. So that's good. I'll take a little more of an extended break then, just to get some food in me, especially if I'm going to have to hoof it up that trail, which is fine, but it's going to slow me down. My window for pickup in Hancock is between 3 and 6:30, and I don't think it's actually realistic that it's 6:30, just because Kimberly's got to go back, or he's got to be at the cabin for something in the 6 o'clock hour, basically. And then the next window of opportunity would probably be about 7:30. So I may just assume that it's going to be on the later side of things and not push so hard. I feel like I've been pushing a little bit here just to get on the other side of the tunnel as fast as I can, which I don't think is a terrible idea. I've been, I'd love to get picked up early, but that just might not be really realistic at this point. I think I would have preferred if I had a better night's sleep and gotten up a little bit earlier and gone earlier, but did not happen. One of the reasons, which I have failed to mention at this point, is because my sleeping pad has some kind of a leak in it that I cannot figure it out. Now, this is the one that I purchased up in New York last year, or had delivered in New York, after my other one was leaking and not working. So I am having a bad time with reasonably inexpensive sleeping pads, and I think that is a lesson learned. I do have a higher quality sleeping pad at the cabin that I think I'm going to swap out on, but that one had been giving me problems too. So I think better to go with that. I did test it a couple weeks ago, and it seemed like it was holding air. But I think there's a difference between holding air without having a 180-pound body on it. So I think I'm just going to go for it and bring that one and just hope that it works. I could conceivably just bring both and layer them up or something. I just don't know. I might have some other options too, but it's going to be potentially cold and of course wet Saturday to Sunday. So I do really want to have something that's going to work well for me. But that's for a later episode for you all. We're just going to have to figure it out from here. It's not the end of the world. It did hold for a few hours, but it's just a drag to wake up in the middle of the night and have to blow it up some more. But it was amazing how quickly I fell asleep after that. I had quality sleep after that second inflation. All right, I think that's enough gabbing for now. Temperatures are climbing. I'm sure we're well into the 80s at this point, which is fine. But again, low humidity, it feels really good. Feeling a little stiff. I've been noticing that my lower back gets pretty stiff, regardless of whether I'm cycling. And I think I need to do a better job of stretching. Something I think I've talked about in the past as well. Recently, that I'm amazed at how much the muscles all interrelate. Leg muscles will impact your back as well. So I think I'm going to need to get more into either yoga or yoga-like stretching is off the bike type of stuff. Speaking of off the bike, I am doing really well on the weight goal. I mentioned in the 180s, I have broken back into that wonderful little realm. I am down over 30 pounds since the beginning of the year. So yeah, it's been good sustained weight loss. I'm gunning for 175 as my sort of initial goal, and then we'll assess from there what that looks and feels. But yeah, I should be hitting that within the next 6 weeks or so, I would say, give or take, which is great. And it feels so much better on the bike to not be carrying that weight, and it pays dividends. So that's really good. I'm glad that I made a real goal of that early this year. I'm sure that the 2 tours that I went on were helpful in that. But really, most of it is eating right and keeping the calories down. And then I think this year I was able to mix in some more cycling on the indoor bike and on the trainer. And that has really made my cycling better. So yeah, no more days of couch to bike for me. I think training is something that I'm going to be thinking more about. Just giving the bike a once over real quick before I hop back on. It is riding great. It's shifting great. I mean, I did almost nothing, including to the chain is my brand. But I think tonight I will give that maybe even a cleaning, because I'm seeing some caked on stuff here. Give it a little cleaning, give it a lube. And I think it'll be better riding tomorrow and the next day if I do that. So I can put it on the bike stand. I am hopefully not going to be doing too many things tonight, because if I am not getting back until 8 o'clock, I may be ready for bed shortly after. So I don't want to have too many things on my list of things to do. All right. That is all. More to come. Man, my saddle is jacked up. I think this saddle might get retired when I am done with this trip. It has done a lot of tours, and I have electrical tape on it. It is cracked. This saddle has ridden the Pacific Coast. It's ridden this trail multiple times. Yeah, I think we might be retiring it, but it is awful comfy, I will say. All right, with that said, more to come. Next stop, Paw Paw. From the top of the mountain, that is the Paw Paw Tunnel Hill Trail. Holy smokes, that is a lot of work, folks. I gobbled down cookies all the way up just to give myself the energy to do it. My bike is heavy, and I am not. I may have lost some weight. My bike didn't. And yeah, my upper body strength definitely needs some help. Reminder of one of the other goals that I have been ignoring. Mixing in some of that. All right, we're going to work our way down and grab lunch on the other side. More to come. All right, from the far side of the Tunnel Hill Trail, that was an experience. Yeah, I'm a little salty about this, the condition of that trail. I'm stunned that the Park Service has that as a thing. Reddit doesn't even describe it. There are parts that are like a mountain bike setup. It's not great. If you are fully loaded like I am, it's a haul. It's a slog. Now, I did it. It wasn't the end of the world. It just took me a little extra longer. But there were some There's an older guy coming up the opposite direction, and he was relying on the shuttle that the Park Service says was going to be there, that I, of course, didn't believe was going to be there at all. Nobody's working today, so if nobody's working, there's no shuttle. So my take is I was able to handle it. I think most of you would too, but I would not go into that thinking that it was a walk in the park. It is not. It was much harder than last time. Part of it is, I think, coming from the Paw Paw side to this side is harder. It's just so steep coming up, and if you're pushing a fully loaded bike, it's a thing. But I'm really surprised at the condition of that trail. I'm still a little stunned by that. A little salty about it. Obviously, people can do it. It's not impassable. But I think if your expectation was, oh, cool, I'm going to go fully loaded, because there's a shuttle, the NPS site says there is. I would never bank on it being there. I was shocked that they actually even said it was going to be there. But yeah, contractors are not working today at all. I wouldn't expect them to have the shuttle service in place unless that is in violation of their contract. But that's my lawyer hat, which I'm not wearing on this trip. Okay, let's see here. We are at lock 63 1/3, which is one of those funny 3-part locks here. As we got closer to the tunnel, of course, there were plenty of extra locks to get the canal in line with that tunnel. I cannot tell you how excited I'm going to be when this descaling project is done, because that tunnel is so fun and such a magical part of the tour, and that hill trail sucked so bad this trip. But your mileage may vary. I just prefer it when, what I'm maybe most salty about is that the contractors are leaving that trail in that condition. But that may be the best they can do. They've got to be able to climb that with their gear, and it's all redded because of the nature of the construction equipment. I don't know, man. I'm speaking on things I don't know a lot about, so perhaps I will just leave it at there. Trail conditions, I'll just speak the facts. The trail conditions are very rough. Can you ride some of it? Yes. You're going to have to hike a bike no matter what you're riding for chunks of it. Bike packers, you are in way better shape than fully loaded touring setups. I can guarantee you of that. All right. I still have to eat lunch, so I'm going to find myself, I think I'm going to take a look at what the next campsite is, because I would love a picnic table and a kick back for a little bit after that spending of energy to be able to take a good solid break. From Sorrel Ridge hiker-biker campsite. Mile marker 154.1, so I'm about 28 miles away from Hancock, give or take. Eating my footlong, my classic C&O meal, just doing it in a different place than normal, which is fine. I'm glad I did the trail before taking this extended break, because that trail was a lot of energy, and I had enough to bang through it before taking lunch, so getting a break now I think is pretty good. Yeah, look, if I mow this down in a reasonable amount of time, I could be looking at 4:35 o'clock is a reasonable ETA without having to push too hard and with taking a few breaks. So that's really good. The temperature's good. It's buggy as fuck right now. Pardon. Oh, wait. Family show. My pirate mouth has finally gotten me back on the adult content side of things. It is buggy. And it's still beautiful, though. I've been keeping up with my water intake just to make double sure. Through my entire diluted liter was worth of sports drink. So I may make another one in the same bottle. I am enjoying a Red Bull for a little caffeine kick. There's a little soundscape for you on that. That usually helps really kick things and get me going. I was thinking of saving it for the end. Can always use that little bit of a kick towards the end, but I want to not have any caffeine in me after 3-4 o'clock, because I absolutely would like to sleep good and hard tonight, because I think tomorrow is going to be a bit of a day. Next week for you, tomorrow for me. All right, just a beautiful view of the river. I've taken a few pictures today. We'll make sure we'll get those in the show notes as usual. I'm not doing a ride with GPS rendering of this one, just because it's not a terrifically interesting looking profile. Although the map is interesting. You see how much winding around you do. This is it feels like you're going straight the whole time, but you're absolutely going in almost circles with the way you wind around with the river at this part of the trail, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it's interesting how your perceptions don't really follow that. It just feels like one big, long, continuous straight line. But it is not. All right. We got more fun stuff to come, more good riding today. Enjoying this warm weather that is not too hot. And that is all. More to come. From mile marker 145 on a now cloudy day one. This is a cool part of the trail where there are some really wild cliffs that are just sheer rock faces that go up about, maybe 30 feet, 30, 40 feet or so. And pushed up from the earth, you can tell the layers are diagonal at about a 45-degree angle. So really interesting either weathering or geologic shift that happened here. Cool. River is literally right off the trail too. One of the nicer, cooler parts of the C&O, especially because it is so rural right now. We're about 4 or so miles from the next teeny tiny bit of civilization, and that's Little Orleans, where Bill's place is, the famous bar that is largely underwhelming, I find. I usually skip it, and I will again today, just because I'd like to get to Hancock and have my evening with Kimberly at the cabin and go through the stuff, make sure everything's cool for a rainy day tomorrow. But yeah, things are going well. I love that we got the little bit of overcast skies because it's made this a little bit more comfortable. Although I will say the air is very still, so it's warm as advertised, but not an oppressive warmth, not that oppressive heat that's soon to come this summer. All right, I am going to hydrate up, take a small break here, and then just keep pushing because it does look like I'm going to have a shot at getting the pickup on the early window rather than the late window, which I would prefer myself. From the Western Maryland Rail Trail, this is take 3 because I keep screwing up the recording, so I definitely know what I'm talking about. You can hear the train off in the distance. For instance, I've said that 3 times now, but you're only hearing it once, so I will stop pouting on that. So I'm about 14 miles away. I've got plenty of time. I'm getting a pickup around 5 or 5:15. I should be there. I could be there as early as 4:30. So I'm gonna not really rush it, I don't think. I may even take a little bit of a break in a few miles. I know there's some benches up ahead here, which will be delightful after being in the saddle for the better part of the day. Yeah, really pushed today, but that's fine. Wanted to get in as early as possible. Got a nice evening with Kimberly at home. That'll be fun. I can solve the issue with my sleeping pad. I can ensure that I've got gear properly dialed in for the rain tomorrow. And I think it's supposed to be pretty cold tomorrow night in Harper's Ferry. So I want to make sure I've got that. I think I've mentioned that before. All right, more to come. Very excited for some dinner, even though I'm still pretty full from lunch. But you know how it goes with all of this. All right, we'll see you down the trail. A few miles down the Western Maryland Rail Trail, there is a hella boulder, like the size of, I don't know, two small cars, one small car. It's a car that rolled off of the side of the mountain here and messed up the trail. The pavement's all busted up. Holy smokes, that's a heck of a seismic event. I don't know, something. Yeah. Got a picture of it with the bike in the background for some degree of scale. It is 10 feet tall and maybe 10 feet radius. So maybe, I don't know, 30 feet around, 20, 25 feet around. If that had hit you, game over, man. Game over. Movie reference. About 5 miles away till the close of day 1. And the rain has been off and on. Not enough for me to put on my rain gear. It's still pretty steamy, so I've actually enjoyed it a little bit. It also has seemingly cleared out some of the grit that was in my gearing and chain drive from the Paw Paw Tunnel Bypass Hill Trail. Yeah, I got bike touring brain already, man. I'm over 50 miles. So all is going well. Should be there right about when Kimberly will be there, which is fantastic. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a little rest and relaxation, a shower. Yeah, this was a good day. I think I'll feel it a little bit more later, but I feel like I was stronger in this ride than I've been in any ride this year. So that's fantastic because I got to do it all over again tomorrow and then the day after that. All right, next stop, Hancock. Good morning. Wait, what? The reason why it's actually the next morning when you're hearing me is because the pickup was actually really seamless. I was at the end of the Western Maryland Rail Trail as it junctions with the road that leads to C&O Bicycle, where I had arranged for the pickup. And right when I was there, literally right when I was there, Kimberly was driving with the Jeep, and so I waved her down. And so we just packed up the car and we went. So I didn't even have a chance to record the final installment for this particular chapter. As you can imagine, things went just fine, and I really put down the hammer and got to Hancock precisely on time. It was really strange that we ended up timing it that way. The rest of the evening was just fine. We had a little bit of some gymnastics to get the bike into the Jeep because we also had our stroller for our dog. Yes, you heard that right. I have a stroller for the dogs. But it worked. By the way, the rock straps are so flexible. I ended up using them to be able to cinch down the rear gate of the Jeep because it doesn't have any hooks on the door to use for a traditional bungee. And it's always been a real pain when trying to get a bike in without doing some real movement of things and often flipping down the front seat, which was not an option when there were a few of us plus dogs. So it actually ended up working out really well, and it was very secure. So another big up for the rock straps. Okay, so that is the end of day 1. I am literally standing here in the beginning of day 2, and a little bit of preview for you. We're going to have to deviate from plans, my friends. See you next week.
Statistics. Miles biked 54, give or take. Miles hiked 1.5. Elevation gain and loss in that hike, 900 feet. Sandwiches consumed 1. Pop-Tarts consumed 2. Gosling sightings 4. Flats 0. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedalshift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedalshift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.